In this video, we're going to show you some subdivisions that have some amenities that are really hard to find online, really hard to research. We're going to show you a subdivision that has the most incredible views of anywhere within about 20 minutes of downtown Durango. They have views like this over my shoulder. Right now, I'm standing only about a stone's throw away from a home that sits right on the edge of Missionary Ridge that has these views. There's several homes that have these views, and we're going to talk about that subdivision, show you that subdivision, and show you some secrets about that subdivision that are really hard to find online, like I just mentioned. We're going to show you some subdivisions that have incredible walking trails, access to fishing, access to paddleboarding, private water that you can paddleboard on, fish on, swim on, and some subdivisions that are closer to some lakes as well. And we're diving into it right now. So the first subdivision we're going to talk about is called the Cliffs. So I am a stone's throw away from a home that sits right on Missionary Ridge, right on the edge, looking at this view here. It is absolutely stunning. Now let's dive into a few of the specifics. The first thing that you really want to know about this subdivision is there's not a lot of homes here, first of all. Not a lot of homes that go on the MLS. So if you're interested in this subdivision, let me know. I do a lot of marketing, a lot of cold calling, a lot of ways to find properties off market. Happy to go to work for you, try to find you something off market here, and do a lot of networking as well. But diving back into that subdivision, just like Durango Hills and a lot of other subdivisions really, it climbs and climbs and climbs, but the bottom part of that subdivision still gets a decent amount more snow than in town. So let's just talk about kind of the bottom part of that subdivision is going to get on average about, well, let me back up and say from a storm we got about a couple months ago, this last winter, they got about 15 inches of snow when in-town Durango got about 13. So only a couple more inches, but usually in-town Durango isn't getting that much snow. So usually they're getting maybe double the amount of snow that in-town Durango is getting. It just varies, but keep in mind as your home is higher and higher in this subdivision, it's gonna get quite a bit more snow because it climbs roughly 2,000 feet in elevation from when you enter this gated subdivision. As much as I love shooting these videos, I love even more helping you guys with your real estate needs. So if you're even thinking about moving to this area, give me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. Would love to help you. Licensed realtor here in Durango, Colorado, as well as New Mexico. And then we've got a team that covers the majority of Colorado. And we'd be more than happy to get the drone in the air as well as give you a community tour, area tour with the drone, as well as a walkthrough, and just hop on Google Earth and Zoom and discuss what you're looking for, kind of narrow in on the areas that might be best for you. Let's hop into the rest of the video. So a little bit more info on it. Like I mentioned, it is a gated subdivision. The home prices are right around 2.3 million in the last couple of years. Then the home sizes, the last two homes that sold were both 95-97 square feet. So really good size homes. And then the lot sizes are all going to be 35 acres. Like I mentioned earlier, there's some really cool best kept secrets about these subdivisions. And the one that I want to tell you guys about beyond these insane views is going to be the access to hiking trails. So how I got to this spot where I'm at, where this subdivision backs up to, is I actually parked at the top of Durango Hills. And then I took Forest Service 71 up to Radio Tower 1. Those are the names of the trails. And then got right here to the edge of that subdivision. So you can come up. Now, granted, depending on where your home is situated, you can either come up from that subdivision, although I'm not 100% sure if you can get through from the end of that subdivision or if that private home is in the way of these trails. But if not, you can go around, drive up to Durango Hills, and then hop onto these trails, and you're getting views like this. You've got access to Missionary Ridge, Mini Missionary Ridge, Forest Service 71, Radio Tower 1, just like I mentioned, all these trails that are right on the top of Missionary Ridge. Then there's several others. Stevens Creek Trail is one of them, and they go down this ridge to take you down into the valley right there. Then there's some other trails right behind me there on that ridge, as well as over here. So tons of trails that it backs right up to. And even if your home is closer to Florida Road, you can just drive up, drive into the other subdivision and hop onto these trails. So it's got some great access. Keep in mind, these homes are on well and septic, and then propane as well. And then electric is La Plata Electric, so you've got electric. And HOA dues, $720 a quarter, and the main thing that's covering is gonna be snow removal. So let's talk about some of the cons. So the first one is going to be the snow. You're going to get more snow, and these roads are not really steep. They're paved really nicely. The roads are really well maintained, but they are at an incline. So some of these driveways are definitely gonna be longer. Most of these driveways are gonna have some level of incline, just depends on the home again. And again, I know I mentioned this before, but if you're looking at a specific property, I'm happy to go out there, shoot a drone video, as well as a video with my phone to show you, or my camera, to show you what these roads look like, as well as the driveway, as well as the home, tour the home for you, give you a real good feel of views, the driveway, the steepness, and give you an understanding of what kind of snow they might get and what it might look like there. Now, another con is gonna be the traffic noise. So this home right over here that's looking over is gonna hear a little bit of this traffic. You kind of stop and listen. You can hear a little bit of traffic, that kind of hum through the valley, if you will, because you've got Highway 550 coming through here. I will say, like I've said in other videos talking about the Animas Valley, you're not getting a lot of like semi-trucks, motorcycles. You get some motorcycles for sure, but not a lot of semi-trucks and bigger traffic coming through here, mainly your regular cars. Now, just to describe the subdivision a little bit more, it's fairly forested. Most homes are gonna have some kind of views, but some of them obviously won't have these views because you're on the edge of a ridge. So some of them kind of plateau out and have this flatter property. Some of them are on more of a hillside, if you will, but are looking at the views towards New Mexico. So you can almost see New Mexico. Some of the homes can see New Mexico from the home. I mean, they're just breathtaking from no matter where the homes are situated. All right, now let's talk proximity to things. You're about 15 minutes to downtown Durango, and I'm using the DoubleTree Hilton Hotel for a reference point. I like using them as a reference point because they're also right on the Animas River Trail and the Animas River, of course. What else is awesome about them is they have a restaurant that's situated right on the Animas River, so you can sit out, watch the river, and watch people rafting by, kayaking by, and it's just an incredible spot. So if you're coming into town, I do recommend staying there. And then you're about 11 minutes from City Market. Then there's several other grocery stores I'll tell you about. Nature's Oasis is kind of like our Whole Foods, if you will. They're about another 6 or 7 minutes away, so roughly 16, 17 minutes. Then Natural Grocers is only another minute away or so from City Market, so about 12 minutes. And then the airport, about 26 minutes, and then Durango High School is gonna be about 15 minutes away from this subdivision. And again, we're talking from the bottom of the subdivision, so it just depends on where your house is situated. The other thing I want to really bring up is the Edgemont subdivisions are just up the road from the Cliffs, from this subdivision. Then I also want to mention the Meadow Market. So just up the road from us here, just up the road from this subdivision, is the Edgemont subdivisions, and they just put in a new market called the Meadow Market. They've got a lot of great options. They've got some nice tables and chairs outside so you can enjoy the summer, but they've got great coffee. They've got a great lunch menu. I really recommend the Reuben sandwich. And then they also sell ice cream. They sell James Ranch beef, and they sell some amenities, you know, like paper towels, things that you just might need around the house. And what's great about them is if we get a lot of snow, it's easy to just hop down there, grab whatever you need, and then go home. So you're not having to go all the way into town. And they're literally a 1-minute drive from the gate at the Cliffs. All right, a few other cons of the Cliffs is just there's not a lot of homes here, right? So not a lot of homes come on the market in this subdivision. Really got to be watching the market. And again, like I mentioned, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to work on talking to people in the subdivision, really seeing what I can find off market for you, because there's just not a lot of homes here. And the other thing is the price point is pretty high. So the homes that have sold in the past have been over 2 million. So there's just not a lot of homes in here that are very small that obviously would bring down the price point. So you're looking in that $2 million range to get into this subdivision. Now, some of the other subdivisions we're going to talk about in the future, the rest of this video, are much lower price points. You know, we're going to be working in that 500 to 1.5 million range for the rest of the video. So just keep that in mind. There is more that we're going to discuss, but wanted to start with this one because for one, that views are just absolutely insane. And it's just a really cool subdivision to show you guys and show you some of those secret hidden features. Before we go on to the next subdivision and show you the next subdivision, I want to point out that all the subdivisions that I'm showing you today are within about a mile of each other. And so one of the ones right in the middle is going to be Durango Hills, which is where I parked. I parked at the top of Durango Hills to get to the hike that gets these incredible views. So keep in mind, you're really close on all of these, in all these subdivisions, to this incredible hike. All right, now we're in the Edgemont subdivision. So you've got Edgemont Ranch, Edgemont Meadows, and Edgemont Highlands. And we're gonna tell you some of the reasons that my parents actually moved here and built here about 6 years ago or so. And then a few of the reasons that they actually moved from here to a subdivision only about 10 minutes away from here. So let's jump into it. One of the amazing features of Edgemont that I just love is they have private access to the Florida River. And it's about a mile stretch. The fishing on there is incredible. I've fished it with my dad many times and love it. If you don't care about fishing, you're not into fishing, there's a mile long trail that goes right along the Florida River, fairly flat, actually really flat, wood chip trail, fairly forested, trees over it, so it's not too sunny. And there's a nice picnic bench right there where you can have lunch, have dinner, whatever, and it's a really easy walk down from wherever you purchase or wherever you live in Edgemont. You can also drive down there. There's a little parking lot down there, so it makes it easier to walk right onto that trail. So to me, that is a huge benefit, and you don't see that a lot in subdivisions like this. There's a few others that you'll see in some of my other videos, but not many. Then obviously it's got these cool little ponds right here, a little play area for kids, and behind that, there are tennis and pickleball courts right there. That's for this subdivision specifically. The others have their own amenities as well. Then the other thing that I love about it is they have 10 plus miles of walking and biking trails throughout. Now in Edgemont Meadows, you can't bike on them. To my knowledge, in Edgemont Ranch, you can, but wood chip trails throughout the subdivisions, 10 plus miles, which is incredible. And I don't think that's counting the trail I just mentioned along Florida River. All right, now let's talk a little bit more about specifics regarding amenities. You're about 11 to 12 minutes to downtown Durango from here, and then you're about 25 minutes to the airport, about 15 minutes to Durango High School. And then let's talk hiking trails. So you've got Missionary Ridge, not too far from here. Now it's a little trickier access. You go through Durango Hills subdivision, which we're actually going to touch on next, but it's just up the road. You go through up to the top of Durango Hills subdivision, and then you've got these insane views on these hiking trails up there on Missionary Ridge. So there's some great trails up there, but then as far as biking, you're just around the corner from the back end of Horse Gulch Trail System, which is pretty much known as one of the best trail systems in Durango. So you're very, very close to a lot of great biking, hiking, fishing. And then I didn't mention Lemon Reservoir is just up the road from us as well as Vallecito. Lemon Reservoir is going to be our first one. The next is Vallecito. Lemon is about 25 minutes away from here. So you are going to be about 10 to 15 minutes closer than if you're in town Durango or further closer to town. Then closest restaurant, all those restaurants right in town are going to be your closest restaurants. But we just had an amazing addition to the Edgemont subdivisions, which is the Meadow Market. The owner does an incredible job at the Meadow Market. I love all the different artwork she has, all the different things and amenities she has in there. And then the food, the menu is incredible, guys. So she's got some great coffee selections. You know, it's kind of known as a coffee shop, but then her lunch menu is incredible. The Reuben sandwich, I definitely recommend checking the Reuben sandwich out. Really well priced menu as well, and it's actually in Edgemont Meadows. So really easy to access. You can walk there from anywhere in Edgemont. And then she does like dinners where you can buy a big dinner and take it home, or even have a party and order food from her and take it home. She's doing different specials all the time. So definitely worth checking out the Meadow Market. So your closest restaurant really is within walking distance, but then you've got a bunch more restaurants in town at only about 11 minutes away. All right, so home sizes are gonna be about 1,056 square feet to just under 5,100 square feet, 5,092. Lot sizes are gonna range from just below an acre at 0.82 all the way down to about 0.09 acre lots. So there are some small lots in here. I'm going to reference you guys to another video I did on Edgemont, all the reasons not to live in Edgemont if you can't handle these things. So I just talk about kind of the cons of Edgemont, and a few of those things that I talk about in that video go into much more depth. It's just that, one, the trails, there's a lot of these trails that go right behind the homes. So if you really don't want people walking behind your house, you know, I have a lot of clients that live here and they don't really care. And I've got other clients that really do care. And it also depends on where that trail is, how close it comes to the home. So keep that in mind. Then another thing is just some of the homes are fairly close to each other. You know, some of the homes' back decks are looking at another home's back deck. It just varies. Some homes do a really good job of having kind of a forest line or a lot of scrub oak right behind them. So it's really well forested. Just sold a home the other day, or I should say a couple months ago, where the scrub oak was grown up really well and you could barely tell there were homes behind them. And then I showed a home home, I don't know, last week, where it was just obvious, you know, the home was right there, or the home behind them was just right there, and you're just staring right at them. So just depending how you feel about that, and I would say don't necessarily cross Edgemont off your list. If you're concerned about that, just look at the specific home and get an idea. And by the way, guys, I'm more than happy to go take a video of this property and give you an exact idea of how close homes are, how close home trails are to it, even get the drone up in the air so you can get a nice perspective. Don't hesitate to reach out if you're even thinking about moving here. Give me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. We've got your back when it comes to moving here. Licensed realtor here in Southwest Colorado as well as New Mexico. So we've got you covered with all of your real estate needs. Let's jump back into the video. So the elevation is 7407 here. It's almost 1,000 feet higher than in town, which is 6512. And so the reason I bring that up is the snow. You do get quite a bit more snow here. A recent storm we had a couple months ago, we got almost 16 inches here in Edgemont and 14 in town Durango. Now, I know that's only 2 inches difference, but they got a lot more snow in town than they normally would get. Typically, you're seeing between 30% and 100% more snow here than in town as well as south of town. So south of town and in town are going to get the least amount of snow of anywhere in Durango as well as in the Animas Valley. Just to touch on that point real quick. The HOA here, $363 per year in Edgemont Ranch, $940 annually in Edgemont Highlands, and then in Edgemont Meadows, it's me $135 per quarter. So all fairly similar, relatively close. And then keep in mind, like I just mentioned, right here we've got tennis, pickleball courts, basketball courts, playgrounds, and then on the trail they've got some nice workout equipment like pull-up bar, dip bars, stuff like that. And then again, just to reiterate, we've got that fishing access right there. You're only 11 minutes from the Animas River as well, roughly 11 minutes. All right, one more con that I want to discuss of living in Edgemont is going to be the traffic. So I sold a home last fall in Edgemont where my client was looking at a lot of homes that kept popping on the market. They were right on Florida Road, and his frustration was, I just don't want to be staring at the road for $900 to $1.2 million purchase price. So no, it's not the majority of homes by any means. Maybe 5% of homes are on the road, but you just want to be cognizant that if a home is on the road when you're looking at the satellite view or GPS, that you're definitely going to hear some traffic. Well, on both sides of the road, they're not super close. They're not butted up against the road, so it's hard to tell, like, will I like it? Will I not? And there's some trees in between the road, but you're definitely going to hear some traffic. Again, let me know. I'm happy to go out with my camera and give you a feel of what it sounds like and just give you a really good, just get a real good feel of what it sounds like. All right, so just to recap, one more thing that I wanted to talk about was actually the fencing that you're allowed to have on your home. So you're allowed to have a little bit of fencing, but not much. So if you really want a fenced in whole yard, you really can't have that. You can have a little bit of fence. I'll show you some videos of what that looks like as well. And then just keep in mind, a lot of this is kind of that community feel. You want that feel that you're just kind of plopped in the forest, and we don't want a bunch of fences all over the place. So you'll a lot of times see deer walking through, see raccoons, squirrels, a lot of different birds. It's really incredible area in here. But if you really want that decent sized property with a nice big fence all the way around it, you're really not going to get that here. And then just to recap again, it's a really desired area because it's just quiet and you have that kind of Colorado feel. As you can tell, all the pine trees around me, spin the camera around, you can kind of get a feel for it. You know, there's pine cones on the ground, a lot of scrub oak, and you just get that Colorado feel that a lot of people are looking for when they're moving from somewhere like Texas or Arizona that just doesn't have this feel. Maybe they're more in the desert or bigger city. So people love this in general. If you're looking for bigger acreage lots, this probably isn't for you. There are a few on the market. Again, near that 1 acre lot is the biggest lot size you'll see here. And then if you're looking for more of just that real green lush as far as like grass, cottonwoods, aspens, you're going to want to go up further north, but I've got a lot more videos that hit on all those areas specifically. So feel free to, again, shoot me a message if you're trying to find a video that hits on a specific subdivision or area, because I most likely have a video that covers that. All right, we are now over here in Florida River Estates. I personally really love this subdivision, again, because it's got water. It's got the Florida River running right through it. And then it's got these two really nice ponds that you see right here behind me. Now we are right off of Florida Road, which turns into County Road 234 for reference. I'll give you a little bit more about the location. We are just past Edgemont Meadows, Edgemont Ranch area, probably 400 yards, half a mile, less than half a mile past there, and just past the fire station as well. And then you are about 16 minutes to downtown. And so that you know the reference point I used the Strater Hotel as my reference point for exactly about 16 minutes from downtown. Now a little bit more about here. I'm gonna go into the trails nearby. Start with kind of talking to you about the trails. You've got the Horse Gulch Trail System really close by. A separate entrance that's not as common is just down the road. You're about 3-4 minute drive down the road. You turn onto a dirt road. I'll put up a map of that as well, show you where that's at, but you're really close to the Horse Gulch Trail System. Definitely some more trails up towards Vallecito as well, but I want to just stick with giving you the closest trails to this subdivision. The closest water and fishing, kind of obvious. You've got the Florida River running right through the subdivision, like I mentioned. You've got private access if you live here. Then these ponds behind me are also stocked as well. Also, what's cool about these ponds, and in contrast in comparison to a lot of some other subdivisions, such as the ranch, such as Dalton Ranch, which those two subdivisions are up north, you can't swim and paddleboard and get in the water of those subdivisions, but here you can. Here you can get in the water, swim, paddleboard, take out a little kayak, sit on your paddleboard, just enjoy the water. And that is something you can do here. So really want to contrast that as well. The closest fishing, other fishing, is going to be Vallecito Reservoir, 23 minutes away. Lemon Reservoir, about 19 minutes away. Your closest restaurant, again, about 15 minutes right downtown. It's gonna be all those restaurants right downtown, or 8.1 miles. The restaurant I'm gonna throw out, of course, there's a bunch of restaurants downtown. One I really like is Derailed Poorhouse. The other one I really like is called Primus. Really, really good place, really nice atmosphere. A little bit higher end restaurants as far as price tag goes. Now let's get into this subdivision itself. Home sizes really range 1120 to 3865 square feet. And then lot sizes just below an acre to 3 acres in here. So all of them really nice lot sizes in here. Want to talk about elevation. So again, in contrast to Bayfield, your elevation is fairly similar. You're at 7211 elevation here, and you're gonna get quite a bit more snow than in town Durango, in contrast to Durango. And then in comparison to Bayfield, pretty similar amount of snow here, specifically in Florida River Estates compared to Bayfield. Fairly similar, but keep in mind quite a bit more than in town Durango. Surprisingly, you're about 800 feet difference. Durango 6512 in town versus here at 72, but that makes quite a bit of difference. You're really in the forest, in the pines here, kind of in this valley. And so as far as views go, you're gonna have kind of this ridge around you. You're not gonna have any real mountain views, but you definitely have this ridge around you, which is really pretty, kind of this forested ridge. A little bit more info about here. Another subdivision that comes to mind is Falls Creek Ranch. I just want to compare, contrast, show you other subdivisions that are kind of similar to this in the sense of having water. They've got a much bigger pond. I really call it a lake, really good sized lake. They've got a dock, they've got a place to actually put paddle boards. If you haven't seen the video, I've got a video, the North Durango vlog. Check that one out. That one I go into detail on that subdivision, but that one is up north Durango, about 10-12 minutes from downtown Durango. Similar distance. They get less snow out that way, but they've got a really big lake. So if you like, or good sized pond / lake, kind of in the middle there. So if you like having water, they don't have a stream, but they've got all 1 acre lots, and they've got a great pond as well. So this subdivision, again, really good option if you want to be still close to town, kind of that 15-16 minute, under 20 minute range, and you want to maybe have a little bit more acreage, a little bit more space, but you still want to be close to town. You don't want to be way out by Vallecito, Lemon Reservoir. You don't want to be way out by Purgatory where you get way more snow. All right, now we're in Durango Hills. So we're about 12 minutes from downtown Durango and just about a quarter mile up the road from the Edgemont subdivisions. Durango Hills is really well named because it is very hilly. From the entrance, it just climbs and climbs and climbs up until you actually get to a great hiking trail that takes you all the way up to Missionary Ridge. So as you can tell, it climbs in elevation quite a bit. Now with that climbing elevation comes a lot more snow. So the Durango weather guy, and that's somebody I really recommend looking into or looking at when you're looking at the weather here. I've got some notes of one of our last storms. He actually breaks it down into upper Durango Hills versus lower Durango Hills. So in the last storm, the last big storm, they got 19 inches in upper Durango Hills and then about 16 inches in lower Durango Hills. So it climbs in elevation quite a bit. The hiking trails are incredible. Like I just mentioned, the top of Durango Hills connects right on, there's a parking lot, and it connects right to some incredible hiking trails, connects you to Missionary Ridge, and then there's this connector that connects you onto there and several other Forest Service roads. So tons of hiking trails, takes you over to some hiking trails that takes you all the way down to County Road 250 as well. Then the access to hiking trails in Durango Hills is incredible. Up at the top of Durango Hills, there's a nice parking lot and it connects to a Forest Service road. And then there's several other trails that connects to the Missionary Ridge Trail. And then there's Halfland Creek Trail that it connects to, as well as one other trail, several other trails that bring you out to these stunning views of the Animas Valley. So it's tough to get better views from the hikes that are connected to Durango Hills. So that's probably one of the best known secrets of Durango Hills. Some of the cons and things to be aware of is you definitely need four-wheel drive car here, unless you're just planning on living here in the summer or just buying a vacation home here. But as you can see, roads are kind of rutted out. What is awesome is there's no HOA, there are covenants, and then there is a fee that goes into paid through your taxes that covers these roads here. So they do maintain these roads. It's springtime right now, so they're working on maintaining them right now, getting them back in better shape because of all the snow that we got. Just for reference, so that you understand what you're looking at here. This isn't what they look like all the time, but I definitely recommend you having four-wheel drive, especially in those upper areas of Durango Hills. I was showing a home this winter and it got to the point where my car just stopped, and fortunately I just put it into four-wheel drive and it was okay. But you'll see a lot of snow on the road, and there's a lot of these cliff edge type homes. And so a lot of these driveways are a little bit longer, and you just want to be cognizant of that and just be really careful out here. Having four-wheel drive, having chains, just being prepared out here, whereas you might not need to be quite as prepared in other areas, other subdivisions, maybe like Edgemont. Now, we have some really good friends that live here in Durango Hills, and they've told us, unfortunately, last year they had to haul in water because they were having issues with their well. So that brings me to, all these homes in here are well and septic, but just want you to be aware that you really want to get a good well inspection. Just make sure that you're gonna have plenty of water, and know that there might be that chance of having to haul water in here. But again, I wouldn't cross it off your list if you just are absolutely, I'm not going to haul water in here. Make sure we just get a good inspection. Maybe check with the seller first. Hey, how is your well? How is your water? Do you have a prior inspection? Some of these sellers are getting ahead of that, so that way they don't lose you as a buyer, for example, because they know that that's a concern. So keep that in mind. It's not that you're necessarily going to need to haul water. Most people don't, but you just want to be cognizant of that. And again, I'm more than happy to reach out to certain sellers in here if they're on the market, if you're curious about a home, and do some more due diligence for you specifically. Again, more than happy to get a good video out here for you, because if you don't want to have that home kind of on that cliff edge, maybe a little more dangerous, a little more hilly, I'm happy to show you what that topography looks like. Get the drone in the air. Again, give me a call, text, email. Anytime. Love to be your resource for all things real estate out here in Durango. Then the other thing I love about being out here is it's just super quiet. So most homes, there's a few homes down closer to Florida, you're gonna hear a little bit of traffic, but the majority of homes, you're not gonna hear any traffic. You're gonna hear the birds, you're gonna see a lot of deer walking through here. I always try to mention in some of these videos, just be cognizant, there are mountain lions, there are bears out here as well. So you wanna be really careful with having your trash bins locked, having them shut, keeping them in your garage, things like that. But that's gonna be just about anywhere in Durango, of course. And just something else I really love about this area that I didn't mention is some of these homes, a lot of these homes, just depending on where they're at, get stunning views. There's a home that just sold recently that has views all the way to New Mexico. You know, they're looking out over this ridge beyond us here, and they have views of New Mexico. They have views of Lake Nighthorse even, which is pretty far from us. I want to say it's a 15-minute drive from us. So our friends that I was just referring to have some stunning views of Lake Nighthorse and New Mexico as well. So unfortunately, you know, you've got to drive up that hill and got to deal with some of that snow. But if you don't care about that and you want these incredible views, you've got those views here for sure. And it's hard to beat here. Of course, a lot of other areas have views, but what's cool about this is you're also kind of in the pine trees, in the forest like you see behind me, with some of those views. Now, of course, as you come down in elevation, as you're in the lower part of Durango Hills, you're gonna have less views. But again, I love this area because you're still so close to town. So kind of to recap, you're close to town, you're also closer to Lemon and Vallecito Lake, and you're closer to the hospital and the airport out this way as you get further east. These amazing hiking trails right along Missionary Ridge to get those stunning views. Where I parked is at the top of Durango Hills. Just kind of a reminder. I know I discussed that earlier, but just want to remind you of that. Now, I get the question a lot, can I have horses, chickens, goats, things like that? Yes, you definitely can. There is no HOA here, but of course, as the name implies, Durango Hills, it is really hilly in here, so it's hard to have horses just because you don't have a lot of flat land here, but you definitely can have chickens. There's even somebody that had several peacocks, I believe, and some other just random animals in the past. So you definitely can have chickens and other animals here. Now, just a little bit of info about the subdivision. So the highest home sold in here was 1.325. Home sizes range from 798 to 5,022 square feet. Lot sizes are 1.6 to 12 acres. So really big range in here. You're getting some really nice lot sizes. As you can see behind me, I'm standing in the subdivision. It's really forested. So even that 2-3 acre lot is really forested, and you're not really seeing your neighbors on that 3 acre lot or so. Then let's talk about internet. They get a line tech here. Downloads and upload speeds are consistent 25 plus megabits per second. People are pretty happy with internet here. Elevation 7421, I discussed earlier. You're gonna get a lot of snow in here. You're gonna really need that 4-wheel drive car. So I wanna, again, mention that and stress the importance of needing 4-wheel drive in here because of the elevation and the amount of snow that they get in here. Like I mentioned, no HOA. Then a little bit more about what you're gonna expect, what you're gonna see here. A lot of ponderosa pine, a lot of spruce, and then a lot of aspen. You see a couple aspen right behind me, and I'm not even high up in the subdivision, so you're gonna get a lot more aspen as you get higher in the subdivision. Actually, some deer right behind me. I don't know if you guys can see them, but that's what you get to see here in subdivisions like this. There's just deer all over the place. You'll see turkey, you'll see a lot of different animals in here. Be aware, there are bear in here, so you really want to be cognizant with your trash. You always keep your trash inside or put them in a metal crate or something like that where they're locked up. And then roads are maintained. You are paying through your taxes for the roads, and then there is a committee that helps make sure that the roads get maintained, especially after the spring. And again, just to kind of emphasize and really convey to you what this subdivision is like, a lot of these properties are on very hilly terrain. I'm gonna pan the camera a little bit so you can just see again that road. Fairly steep, fairly high incline. And if I didn't mention earlier, just want to emphasize and remind you regarding this subdivision that just down the road, you've got the Meadow Market. So when you get a bunch of snow or just when you don't want to go into town, you've got the Meadow Market, awesome coffee spot, amazing coffee cake, great Reuben sandwich. They even sell James Ranch beef and cream bean berry ice cream, which is our awesome local ice cream spot that's downtown. So definitely check them out and keep in mind that you do have some nice amenities really close by without having to go into town. Guys, if you're even thinking about moving to Durango, give me a call, text, email, days, nights, weekends. Happy to hop on a Zoom call with you, discuss the areas, pull up Google Earth, really break down what the areas are like and what area might be best for you. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Looking forward to talking to you guys soon. See ya. All right, guys, I was just putting away my camera. Check this out. This guy just came out. Deer right here. There's some others right behind him. Amazing, right? They came out to tell you how awesome this subdivision is, I guess.